Jenn Bradshaw Almond of Savor Fare Travel Company. Thanks for coming on Brite Cast. Let me tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got into it, and we'll go from there.
Okay, awesome. Yes, it is Savor Fare Travel Company, and I've been in business for about 3 years. And how did I get into this? Well, I could tell you that my entire corporate life and my personal life melded me to come here. I literally just had a conversation with somebody about this. But long story short, I was doing a mastermind group with women for my coaching business. I actually had a health and wellness coaching business before. And we would go all over the world. Like we would have these retreats in different areas. And one of the retreats after the second year that I was in it was to Bali. Never been to Bali.
Lucky.
Very lucky.
Yeah.
I think everybody should experience that. It's a country that is obviously not wealthy, but so rich in everything. So just like as I described it then, my trip to Bali was kind of my own personal pilgrimage to who I am and where I came from. Because as a side note, I was adopted when I was 2 days old and left the Philippines when I was 18 months. My parents were from Kansas City, Missouri. So I grew up like a Midwesterner would.
Yeah.
Nothing about the culture. So the fact that I got to Bali, which was it was as close as I could get to the Philippines ever. Actually, I could have been in the Philippines 6 hours shorter than going to Bali.
Okay.
And that trip in itself changed my life. And I used a travel agent. I used a travel advisor for that. I used Audrey Travel. Shout out to them. They're a very large company. And the reason I used them is because I'd never been to Bali. Like I could figure out Hawaii. I could figure out, Hawaii was a place. And then any of the stateside ones wasn't a problem.
Right.
But this was a huge,
Language barriers are
100%.
different. Yeah.
Yes. But the good thing is everyone in Bali speaks English. It's a huge expatriate community, right? A lot of entrepreneurs live there. And what was really nice about using the travel agency was I told them everything. Like I'd never been. I want to make sure that I'm steeped in the culture. And this was 2015.
Okay.
So way before COVID, right? And way before transformational travel, experiential travel, any of those buzzwords that you hear now, way before that. And so I just said, I really need to be immersed in this lifestyle because I'm actually Filipino. And using a travel advisor or a travel agency, they have people that have been there multiple times. I didn't know that. And everything changed my life. It was the only place that I have felt safe and felt like home. Literally felt swaddled. Like if you feel like you're like being held and hugged and so comfortable in a place. And some people when they travel, I know you're well traveled, they get to a place and like, oh my God, this is what I've dreamed of. I'd never dreamed of it, but it was exactly what I would have never dreamed about it. Like it was just so amazing. So life-changing, got to meet a medicine man, all these fun little woo-woo things at the time when I was in the wellness business. And from that moment, it left an imprint on me.
Right. And how long were you there?
I was there for 14 days.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there for 2 weeks. And then I went on to, it was funny because I was actually gone for a month. So I went to, Bali's a day trip, right? Like you got to get there in a whole full day. There for 14 days. Then I traveled to San Diego and I was in San Diego for about 6 days. So I didn't see my husband for almost 3 weeks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I was packed in this little, I was packed in a carry-on. So everything fit in the carry-on, which again, when you're going to warm climates, you don't need a huge suitcase, but we're women. We like to have options.
I don't think my wife could ever do that.
I can help her. There's some tricks of the trade. But yes, most people cannot. But that was such a lasting imprint on me that even when I shifted out of my wellness business and I didn't go straight into travel, so that was 2015, I'd say right up into the pandemic, I was working at a chiropractor as a business operations manager and as an assistant, but I was always dreaming about travel.
Yeah.
The woman that worked with me, she's like, you're always talking about travel. So when I decided to get into the business, I knew that mine was not going to be like your Disney vacations. Mine was not going to be your budget travel. Mine was going to be...
And those are a dime a dozen for sure.
Yeah.
That's why it's so hard to get started in the business, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've talked about this with accessible travel and finding your niche. And I think that was what was really important, that I had already had an impact to help me discern which route I would go.
Right.
I won't say that it's easy in the travel agency. Most people think it is easy. It can be, but if you're going to do it right, it can be, it's a business. It's huge, and there's a lot of options and opportunities and ways you can take your own business.
And so what made you take the jump to start it officially?
So, after COVID, actually, so in 2021, I was diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia, and I was still working at the chiropractor office, and COVID's going crazy, right? The world's shut down. Well, then later that August, I actually was hospitalized for 2 weeks, and I was already trying to figure out what I wanted to do, like I was only in this little chiropractor office for a short moment, what I thought would be a short moment. And I wanted to go back and do retreats because it was so impactful to have that transformational change. And I'd been in there, right? But so when I was hospitalized, I obviously couldn't go back to the chiropractor because when I came out, was discharged, I was still very, very weak. So I ended up taking a job with a startup marketing company as their business operations manager. And just as a side note, and I spoke about this with a friend earlier, is one of my core values is leadership. And with my long leadership skills set in my corporate world, it's something that I value and see in businesses and self. And so while I learned a lot from an operational perspective in that startup marketing company, the leadership wasn't the greatest. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop doing this. This is not for me. And fortunately, I got asked to come back as the operations manager at the chiropractor office, not doing clinical work.
Were you still sick at the time?
No, I had actually recovered. Recovery took me probably about 12 months.
Did you have to do chemo?
No.
Okay.
No.
So leukemia is blood cancer?
It is. It's blood cancer. So thankfully I didn't. But I will tell you, when I was first diagnosed with leukemia, oh my gosh, it was so when I found out, we thought it was just me coming back, and my white blood cells were up. So my doctor's like, you're up. You must have gotten a sickness, which we were on a cruise. All right, no big deal.
That'll do it.
Right. And then 3 months later, we had an update, and they were high. White blood cells were still higher. And so I was like, this isn't right. So my doctor referred me to a hematologist. On that same phone call, she's like, don't be alarmed if you see hematology oncology. I'm sorry, what? And sure enough, it's exactly, I went testing. I got started on oral chemo. So I did oral chemo, not like chemo with tumors. So I did oral chemo, and that was burning me from the inside out. I did that for a month, and it was sad because where I was going is well known for some cancer treatments, but not particularly this one. And so I, as any good person will take their health in control, I went and found other people. And I ended up finding a specialist at UVA. And he changed my
Charlottesville?
prescription. Yep, Charlottesville. They have a huge, huge leukemia department. So they have the Emily Cure Cancer Center, but within that, they have a specialized leukemia for both. What I have is CML, then there's another stage, ALL, and then there's full-blown leukemia. And so Dr. El-Shahar specialized in CML and changed the medicines, lowered the dosage, and, we did tests. I will tell you, the worst thing that I ever had to do was a bone marrow.
Oh, I've heard those are bad, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I've never in my life felt pain like that.
Where'd they take it from?
My hip, so.
Oof, yeah.
Yeah, so it was the back of my hip, not the front. So I was laying down, and she literally, the fact that you can hear them tapping your bone, no one should hear that. Not awake.
Did they give you anything for it?
Well, yeah, they numbed it, but it was local.
Oh,
anesthesia.
yeah.
And so I didn't feel her take the bone. It was when they went down to that bone and tapped it with the anesthesia. It was great numbing agent, but when it wore off the next day, I was at work. I was just crying. It was so bad, but it did come back positive. But everything is totally managed. I'm managed by oral medication. And
what were your symptoms?
Weight loss, which is a lot for a lot of people. For cancer in general, is weight loss. And then really, it was just in the blood. It was the white blood cells. And I
fatigue and stuff, maybe.
Really tired.
Yeah.
Really tired. Weight loss, fatigue, and then But I'm like the best of the like warriors there are. I just kept pushing, and I was still working at the chiropractor. And I remember that's also right in the middle of COVID, right?
Yeah.
That's insane. So, you have your moment when you're diagnosed with cancer. But, my doctor said 10 years ago, there would have been a life expectancy. But now with the different types of generational drugs that they have for oral chemotherapy, it's totally managed. And people are like...
So you still have it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yep,
wow.
I still function. Wow. I go every 6 months. And it was really funny. Ricky, he's talking to Liana, and he goes, Jenn's mentioned cancer just in passing 2 times. Should I be alarmed? She's just saying it kind of in passing, like it's no big deal. Liana's like, she's fine. Yeah. Because the last thing I want is people to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
I feel sorry for you all the time. Yeah, but you still want to be open and vulnerable about your life as well. You know, maybe someone else is struggling with something that you could, be a light to them as well.
100%.
So getting into the travel part of it, why did you choose culinary? Like the
oh yeah, that's a great
two of them
question.
together. Do you cook?
I do. Okay. I do. So have you ever heard the saying that the best way to get a man is through his stomach?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay. Right. So my dad would tell me, you're never going to get married because you can't cook. Listen, I messed up macaroni and cheese 3 times in college. The box mac and cheese, not the the shells, which has the creamy stuff. That would be horrible.
Yeah.
As if this isn't bad. So it really is. And I have to throw this out to my ex-husband. My ex-husband actually was the chef. He had actually dropped out of Virginia Tech. And while we were down in the school, he fell into a restaurant with a friend of ours that he met. And so Jason always wanted to be a chef. I don't think he's a chef anymore, but he really loved the creative aspect.
Yeah.
And so what was really cool is he was owning it. So of course, once we got married, which was many years later, I got married the first time in 2005. Yeah. No. Somewhere around there. Early 2000s. And so we owned the restaurant down in Blacksburg. It was an Italian restaurant called Portobello's. And it was one of the only fine dining before Blacksburg.
Yeah, there's not much stuff.
Right. There's
not at that time anyway.
Right. No, not at that time. So of course now it's like so blossom. But we were like, he was catering for the president and everything like that. So I learned, I loved being in the back of the kitchen because we did not have a lot of turnover. We had students would stay with us for 3 to 4 years, which is very unheard of in the restaurant business. Right.
Well, if they get good tips, if things are a little bit pricier, then
And again, it was one of the only fine dining places other than the ones that were on campus.
Yeah.
So it was really great because one of my best friend growing up from high school, he worked for Jason as well. And I just got to know the ins and out of it. And at the time, because he worked all the time and I was going to school, so I had to entertain myself in hobbies. And so I became a cake decorator.
Oh, cool.
So basically, I attribute my learning of culinary from him because then I turned, and as I got older, I became a foodie. I actually, like I said, my first business was in wellness and coaching. And so learning how to eat and balance that. Well, then how do you eat when you eat out, right? So it just became, you open your palate more, right? When you start to learn delicacies. Now, why that? That's part of the premise. The other part of the premise of choosing culinary is the fact that food is the gateway to culture. That's what I say. I heard that on some... I don't know.
Anthony Bourdain or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Love Anthony Bourdain. And it's food is the gateway to culture. And I realized that it really is because everything when I would travel was around mealtime. Even when I went to Bali, I did an archipelago, I'm probably slaughtering that word, cooking class. And I have pictures on my website where I'm with, she looks like my sister. Of course, most Balinese look like my sister. we all look alike. We're making different dishes from that time period using the different seasonings. And I just loved cooking classes. I mean, you were talking about like HGTV. Well, for me, it's the Food Network.
Oh, yeah. Well, that too. We watch that too.
like the kitchen is amazing.
Yeah.
You're taking just the everyday dishes and, learning them from these top chefs. And I think that that's just kind of grown. One of the things when I was still married to my first husband, I would always love to get the July issue of Food and Wine, which had the up and coming chefs. And they would talk about where their talents were. So I kind of took his passion and it merged into mine. And then when we parted ways, I always loved to figure out like where to eat. Like I always
Right.
Dad and I loved diners, dives, and whatever.
Oh yeah,
Gary.
We watch that sometimes going to bed, and we shouldn't because now we got to eat something. I'm starving.
No, our claim to fame in Kansas City is Jack Stack's Barbecue, which was on Guy Fieri's, and like that was what my dad and I would commiserate on and learn. And that's actually how he learned to cook after my mom passed. He
really?
Loved Rachel Ray.
Oh yeah.
And food is comforting. So that's really what it comes down to is actually found out that one of the Filipino things is gathering for food, like gathering around mealtime.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're Catholic. And I was like, it's got to come from there, right? Like my family, my dad sat in front of the television eating food while mom and I were at the kitchen table. Like that's how we grew up.
Right.
But I just feel like dinner time is that time to unwind and be together and gather and joke and laugh and whatever with whomever you choose to. So it's really that is the aspect of it. And then you're putting culture into it. Well, I didn't, I grew up like very bland. And so, just.
So do you like in the planning of, we'll get more into the actual travel stuff, but do you help them find like the places to go when they're in the city, like the best known places? Okay. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really,
that's part of the, sorry to interrupt.
No.
But that's part of like, what are we going to do for food?
Yeah.
That's why we go to all inclusives a lot because it's already planned out. Right.
Oh,
but we're doing we're going to Cancun in a few weeks, but we're staying in an Airbnb for the first time and we're going to we got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So like having someone like tell you, hey, if you're staying in Rome or whatever, go to these 4 different places or whatever.
Yeah. It really based on the client's needs. Sometimes I attract, foodies, we'll just call them foodies, and they can figure it out. Like that's their joy is to figure out where it is. Also, I will say that if you're staying at certain hotels, which I usually always pick ones that have concierge, because more than likely the people that I'm servicing, they've never been to these countries before.
Yeah.
And so they want to feel safe. They want to feel like there's a comfort that they are welcomed at home and like they're taken care of.
Yeah.
So that they're going to use the concierge service. And even before they've departed for their trip, a lot of times that concierge service will give me their local recommendations.
Okay.
And so I've given my clients that information in their entire, which is this. It's awesome. This is way beyond what I ever had. Their travel documents are all electronic, so they have an app.
Nice.
Yeah, so everything comes on your app, and so you can pull up all your travel insurance, whatever documentation. You don't need to print it off, although I do have a client that does print it off. He's a good guy.
Might be good to have a backup. You never know.
He's got a backup. Look, he used to be a Capitol Police, and so he's
of course.
very logistic.
Yeah.
But like they can figure it out, and they can get an idea. Like maybe they don't want the one that's recommended by the concierge, but they walk by something that was by the recommendation, and that's the adventure part to it, right?
Right. You don't want everything planned to the T.
No, because you need a little room for serendipity and magic, really, on travel, which is the awe-inspiring aspect, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some people, I have a friend, her husband is like, I just can't get her to just pack a bag and go to the airport and pick an airplane, a flight. And I'm like, you wouldn't be able to get me to do that either, dude, bro.
I've always kind of wanted to do that, like where it's like
dude thing.
I mean, pick a state or whatever, like what's flying out right now, and we're going there. Whether it's Idaho or whatever, like we're gonna spend a couple of days there.
Well, and if you like that kind of magic and like spontaneity, there's actually I think an app that will or a subscription.
Oh yeah,
they send you something and they tell you how to pack, and then they don't tell you where you're going until you get there, and then you got the tickets. Yeah, it's I've seen it advertised, but yeah, I mean. If you're really spontaneous, that can happen. Now, I will say for those that are spontaneous, something that I did for a client was she had 2 young kids. They were going to Puerto Rico. They didn't want a lot planned because, you have kids. You can't really figure that out. So what I did was I got them their hotel and their airfare was managed. So then based on what the kids wanted to do and what they were like interests were, I basically just loaded a bunch of activities and I said, hey, just pick and choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
Here are the cities, here's the timing. And I literally mapped it out. And one of the best things she could have ever said to me was, you made this so easy. I didn't have to think about anything. Like,
what do you want to do today, kids?
Yeah.
And they have a few options to pick from every day. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, no. And when it was a great location, the water was safe for their 2-year-old. And you just need to know your, in this business, you really need to know your clients.
Yeah.
You really need to know.
Right. So how do you get to know them, I guess, is a leading question.
Oh, that's a good question. So remember, I go back to that coaching call. So everyone thinks they're discovery calls or whatnot, but I make it really personal. I want to make sure that when we meet, you're scheduling a call with me and we're talking about what you want to do. Sometimes it takes usually I'm just not gonna, I can usually do one for an hour and I've got you.
Right.
Now, if you don't know where you want to go,
that's a whole different story.
It's a whole different story. But if you even if you have 2 places you want to go,
right.
I will source that out for you and then we'll have a firm decision.
Right.
But it's that time and that question, like what we're doing here. It's the emotional intelligence that I have from being an HR specialist, from doing coaching work. All of that, like I said, my entire eclectic background has kind of brought me here with all the necessary skills to do what I'm doing.
Well, that's awesome. So what's your favorite place that you've been? Bali?
Yeah, it's going to be Bali. I mean...
Anywhere else cool?
So pleasantly surprised, I think I mentioned this to you, is Dominican Republic. In the industry, the way travel advisors get educated a lot of times, besides doing YouTube and research and presentations from business development managers, we can be invited to familiarization trips. So they're called fam trips.
Yeah.
And I've been on several. I've been blessed. I've been very fortunate to have been on quite a few early on in my career. And I had a meeting with a supplier, which was a hotel rep company. And Wanderlux, I don't care about telling you people who my suppliers are because here's the caveat: you cannot work with my suppliers.
Yeah.
But I just had a great conversation and related to her and just connected with her. And she's like, I know it's a little short notice, but we've got a spot open in Dominican Republic in, 2 months. Would you like to join? Only thing I had to do was airfare. And everything else was covered. It was weekend. So I got invited to go to Dominican Republic. The resort is gorgeous. It's called Cayo Levantado. It's actually 2 hours from the capital. So it's kind of a drive. I had no idea it was an all-inclusive.
Oh, okay.
It was a very pleasant surprise. It was all-inclusive. And on top of that...
So it's not... do you fly into Punta Cana?
No, you fly into Santo Domingo.
Okay, yeah.
So you fly into Santo Domingo. It's about 3 hours. So it's on the northern coast in Samana. Samana. And I found out it was all-inclusive, but it had just been redone. So I went last year. It had just been redone, like a couple $1 billion refurnishment, changed from a different line of hotel. And within 4 months, they had a 4-star Forbes rating.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
a good one.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because people are like, well, what goes into a Forbes? And so you need to know that for those that don't know, there is this huge, like it's like mystery shopper with the Forbes and it's like 1,000 plus, it's an ungodly amount of questions that they have to be rated on by the secret shopper. So the fact that this particular resort, got 4 stars from Forbes in about 4 months was amazing. And when I got there, what was just joyful was we had an immersive experience. So there's sometimes familiarization trips, fam trips, have you site visiting. And that can be the most boring thing in the world where you're seeing every class of room. Oh my gosh. This was not like this. We landed, it was late. We actually met a DMC that I'm working with currently for a group trip, Bonavito, DMC being Destination Management Company. And we had lunch, which is awesome. And we talked about the native foods and kind of like different things and what that DMC could provide for the travel advisors. And then we did a bike tour through DR. That was epic. I mean, you were optional wearing the helmet.
Oh, yeah.
My husband's like, "Why are you not wearing your helmet?" I was like, "Well, no one else was." Yeah, I probably should have because we were crossing.
It's definitely sketchy. So we flew into Puerto Plata.
Yeah,
the first time we went.
Yeah,
we went to a not good all inclusive where like I got food poisoning, and it was we were VI. It was in fairness, it was our first time traveling as a group out of the country. It was VIP status, but once you get there, they're selling you a timeshare, and VIP is the lowest level. Then they have silver and gold and platinum and everything like that. So we had the bottom of the barrel. I mean, it was still great. It's a great experience, but it's definitely. It was my first time kind of being in a third worldish type of environment, and then you're at the resort. So it's very like, whereas Punta Cana is not that way. It's more city vibes and everything.
Yeah, and it also being a port and then all of that area, it's like the other Cancun. Like,
yeah,
I think it's the other Cancun. I actually would rather go to Punta Cana than go to Cancun, honestly.
Because we're going there in a couple weeks.
I know. And then the only reason
we got married there, so I have a
have a
soft
special
spot.
Okay, so where are you staying?
We're at Airbnb this time.
Oh, that's right. You said Airbnb.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot since going to Cancun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually going to go to Mexico City at the end of October for a conference in Mayacoba. And then, when I found the Dominican Republic, it was epic. And the fact that it was all-inclusive, that, what they did for us, it wasn't a typical, we got to sample. It was like family style sampling at every meal. Mm-hmm. And we did see pretty much every villa on Saturday. So we had activities on Friday when we came in. We saw room classes on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we got a whole free day. Plus, we were given a spa treatment.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, go play.
Yeah.
You got a full day. And so I would say that that's probably, one, experience as a travel advisor. Two, trying to find, now that I have traveled there, trying to promote that resort. Mm-hmm. I actually have a group trip in August, if that all happens, that I'm promoting into for that. But Cayo Levantado, I'm telling you, it's a beautiful resort.
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
So what are how do people, do they pay you, or do you just get and manage the stuff and you get paid by the resorts and everything?
That's a great question. So like any other service, we have packages as far as service levels go. So let's say you just need to bounce some ideas off me, and you're a DIYer, right? Mm-hmm. That's like an hourly rate.
Yeah. Okay.
And all of this is on my website, and you can download your how we work guide. And then let's say you're going on a cruise or you're going to an all inclusive, and you don't really know, you don't want to do the sandals, and you don't want to do the typical big brand names, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to tell you,
which are usually not worth.
They are not worth.
Yeah,
they are not. I actually did a live about that they're not some of the best. So we have access to a bunch. I use a wholesaler for some of my all inclusives, and that's just like a flat rate. That's like a $250, whatever. Yeah. I get you booked. You're good. Mm-hmm. So there's service fees up front, and then like custom design FIT is what we call them, fully independent travel. Those types of custom trips, those have a little bit more work in them. They're piecemealing different things. So the service to manage that's up front, because what happens is we found in the industry, and it's being promoted within the industry a lot to charge service fees, just like an accountant would, right? So we still do, because of our relationships, get the commission. But as a friend of mine says, she's like, that's a tip, right? And sometimes we have to chase our commissions, which is never good.
Right.
Because if you're booking direct to a hotel, sometimes they're not the best. I tend to use DMCs for the FITs, or I use a wholesaler that I rely on heavily, that I've got a really great partnership with. So you're getting a service fee you're paying a service fee up front, depending on what you need.
Right.
And then there's commission on the back, which does not, I just want to repeat this, the commission on the back end is nothing in your package. It is basically a thank you or a tip from that supplier saying, thank you for choosing us, because there's a gazillion of us out there that are competing for a client.
It keeps some loyalty.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think that's the hardest thing, is finding the suppliers who you're going to use. Did
you go through training to find that, or you just kind of hustled and went to conferences and stuff?
Yes to both.
Okay.
I think once I got into the industry and received my credentials, It's like opening up the gate, right? And it's a kid in the candy store, but it's so overwhelming. So I went through training, got a certification in travel, being a travel advisor. ASTA, which is the governing, not governing, but the accreditation, so to speak. And then, yeah, it does do with conferences. But what the thing is about conferences is you're just doing that like speed dating with, you know what I'm saying? Like you're doing speed dating with different suppliers and they're showing you their pitch deck. And it's like, how do I even remember this?
Right.
So yeah, it's feet to the fire of going, I really identified with that one, like that person. So knowing, I think that was a challenge when I got into it, was so many pretty shiny things.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh my gosh, I can go do this and I could do that and I could do this.
Is there anything in the training like that teaches you how to choose the right suppliers and stuff?
No, that's actually no, there's not.
I think I got a business for you.
I know, and it's really funny. No, it's really good because when I do mentor people, so I do a lot of work with the American Corporate Partners, which is a company, is an organization that does transitioning for vets and their spouses. And so my last mentee was in it, and I was like, it really just comes from doing that mentorship and then saying to people that I meet in the industry that might be 1 year or 6 years in, and I was like, look, you're going to, don't try to do it all. Like, just do one thing, and do it well. And then you got to choose, are you going to do luxury? Are you going to do budget? Because some people still do budget. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a space for everything, like Blue Ocean, right?
You just need enough volume if you're doing budget.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, there's no training about that.
Yeah.
So it really would fall into it would be like I see the process. It would be the process of marketing and how you're going to market yourself. And then once you have figured out how you're going to market yourself, then which suppliers fit in this realm.
Right. Well, we can make a course on that.
Let's do it.
I know someone who has camera gear.
Who's great camera gear. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. So what are like some big mistakes that people, that are starting to get into travel, like being an agent? Like, is it because they're not doing this, like really digging as hard as they can, and they're just expecting the leads to come from what agency they signed up with, or?
Yeah, no, that's actually, I've never really thought about that. But yeah, when you're getting started, it's twofold. So for me, so when I started, I actually was kind of what they call hosted under another agency. Yeah. So you have these big name agencies, people will know them out there, outside agents, not travel leaders as a consortium.
Travel Genie.
Yep, Travel Genie, all of them. They're big like people who you say, hey, go use I don't want to say MLM. They're not. Hey, you are able to book travel because I'm going to let you use my credentials.
Right.
And you pay a fee. I did that for a year. My biggest challenge was leadership again. And when I said that, things changed in my host agency. They changed consortias. And so consortia is just like I just want to say it's a group or organization that has a lot of access to multiple suppliers. And they've already done kind of the negotiations of commissions and what are perks, amenities you're going to get. So there's a lot of consortias out there, and a lot of them is based on your sales revenue. So they changed consortias, and it caused a lot of rift with the leadership, and just leadership in general just came apart. So I went independent. So you have a choice to be independent. Now, not everybody can go independent. It's not governed, so you can go independent, but you would have to pay for credentials. Sometimes that's a more expensive way to do it than just paying away. So going back to like, how do you choose or how do you get in this? Where do you know what to do? Is, you either have to partner with somebody that you trust, or you are doing it on your own.
Right.
You are trying to figure it out. And I'd say that some of the biggest challenges, as you were asking, is systems, one.
Right. That's any business.
Yeah, right, 100%. Systems, one. Two, any other business, you'll find this funny too, treating it like a hobby, because it's very easy just to get into it, to do it. There's a lot of part-timers, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But when it comes to travel, the biggest thing is knowing, how does the supplier work? How are you getting commissions? Is it net or gross that when you're using a DMC? And then it's booking. How do you book with them? Who's supporting you if you have questions? I remember trying to book a cruise. People think cruises are easy to book. They are not.
They're very complex.
They're very
We've been on several.
They're complex. I will tell you that Virgin Voyages is the most travel agent friendly in the world. I know it's adult only. I'm sorry for those that have children, but you need to get away from your children anyways.
Yeah.
But they're very complicated, and it's like Disney where it speaks its own language. And I won't even talk about Disney. I've got some good friends that I would refer to Disney. That's a whole nother rules and regulations for Disney. Like it's a whole, like you need a passport to go to Disney, period. And I actually, my first time around, I think my second year in the business, I actually had an IC, an independent contractor that I hired to do Disney just that I could refer out. But since doing a rebrand earlier this year, I've kind of like pulled that off my website. It's not in my brand, even though they have a food and wine situation. But yeah, it's about finding your niche, knowing who you can rely on. And it's really getting into organizations that are going to support you and figure it out. Like, don't make the mistakes that I have had.
Right.
And I remember, so when I was booking that cruise, I messed up because I quoted the wrong room. Like I was on phone with the client, and there were 3 rooms on the screen. And I'm like, okay, well, this room, do you want this room or do you want that room? And this is the difference between the room. And I get so excited, or you get working so fast that I booked the wrong room.
Oh, no.
So I had to go back and follow my sword and say, oh, I'm really sorry that I booked this wrong room. They're like, that's fine, no big deal. I mean, it actually ended up being a better view than the one that they wanted. But then how do you what if you didn't tell your client?
Yeah, what if you didn't notice until they got there?
Right. And they're like, no, we booked this. That's actually another good point. Here's another thing that I learned. So just recently, I went to Key West with my family over President's Day weekend. I actually had a client traveling. So she had requested a luxury ocean view at the Royalton Antigua. And that's great. It's fine. She said, oh, we found out that they don't have any elevators. Can you request the first floor? Absolutely. No problem. So when there's I have like a 60 touch point email of touch points through the managing of the system. So I put that into the, make sure you touch base with the supplier and do all that. So when she gets there, she's like, they get into the room, and it's on the first floor, but it's a pool view. So it's a swim up pool area. And so she's arguing with the front desk that we had an ocean view room. So she texts me, because I always do a, how are you doing when you first arrive email. And certain classes of people get my WhatsApp number. Yeah. And she tells me that this happens. I'm like, no. This is a partnered with my wholesaler. I'll take care of it. So I'm on the phone. I mean, granted, I'm at the pool. I wasn't having a to be honest with you.
Not the worst place to work from.
No, not the worst place. In Key West at the pool.
Yeah.
Wasn't doing anything. That's fine.
Yeah.
So, and I was having this conversation, and long and short of it, it was a ocean view room, but they had built private bungalows in front of that. So it no longer was an ocean front view. So this is a reason why you have a travel advisor. We are your advocate.
Right.
So I was her advocate in the sense of, no. Like, she booked a luxury ocean view. It doesn't matter that she requested a first level. You should have communicated that better to her and not just said, that's what you booked. Like, they literally just said, nope, that's what you booked. I was like, don't you even dare.
Yeah.
So,
so you're bulldog.
I'm totally bulldog. Totally bulldog. And so I went back to the supplier, and they actually comped her the difference of the 2 rooms. They refunded her that money. And what I did find out from my supplier was that particular hotel chain is just really challenging with customer service. It's great if you go. They have beautiful resorts. I'm not sliding anything. But if you end up having a problem, customer service is tough. Now, if you had booked that straight on, because it's an all-inclusive, you would have had nobody to fight for you.
Yeah, exactly, which is the common thing. We had a travel agent for our wedding, because we had 40 people come down. But the same sort of thing happened. They moved people's rooms. My sister got a shitty room and stuff, so she had to call and yell at everybody to make sure that the rooms were sorted out. But if we didn't have that, we would have just been screwed.
Right.
Yeah. So, so where are you going next?
Where am I going next?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to Kansas City, but that's not like...
That doesn't count.
No, it doesn't count. July is a cruise to Grand Turk. And
I've always wanted to go there.
It's on Virgin Voyages. I'm going to give you the link.
Okay.
So that's a 7-day cruise, and there's a couple days at sea, which is wonderful because, again, I'm a huge fan of Virgin Voyages.
What's like a rough price point for a balcony for 2 people?
It's per room.
Okay.
So even if you're single, then you're paying for the full room. So their prices are full room. So balcony, just regular balcony, or do you want it like you want
just regular balcony is fine.
Like $2,500
for 2 people.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
I know, right?
That's not bad at all.
And you don't have to be there's like no horrible drink packages. There's bar tab. It's awesome. It's so awesome. We can talk offline about that.
Yeah.
So that's one. And then what else did I have? I had another place. I got invited to go to Portugal.
Oh, nice.
I'm not going.
Yeah.
I can't turn it around. It was a fam trip. Mm-hmm. I'm holding out for Greece.
Okay.
I'm holding out for Greece.
So that's like your number one spot?
I want to get to Greece. I actually have 2 clients that are going. I feel like I know Greece without having been to Greece. I just love learning about the culture, learning about the history.
Is it to do all the touristy stuff, or you want to like go to some of the smaller islands and stuff?
No, smaller islands. I want to go in someone's kitchen and learn how to cook.
Okay, cool.
I just want to shop on the marble, like take a walk. Mm-hmm. No, not all the touristy things. It's too hot. There's no shade.
What time of year is best to go there?
So most people,
fall?
Yeah. So you're gonna want to go shoulder season. So every destination has a shoulder season.
Okay.
So
what does that mean? Is that your 80s band name? Shoulder season?
And it's not where you're lifting things up either.
Yeah.
Like shoulder pressing.
Yeah.
So it's the season is the front of the shoulder is right before high season and right after low season, or right after high season. So most people go to Greece in the summer months, right? Mm-hmm. June, July, August. So you're looking at April, May, and then September, October. I would definitely like September, October. It's still warm. Mm-hmm. And then one trip on for sure is I'm going to the Costa del Sol in Spain. Mm-hmm. I'm going to see Seville, Gibraltar, and then there's a day trip over to Tangier, Morocco.
Nice.
And that's with the chamber. So I'm actually spearheading that. So I'm super excited.
Oh, very cool.
That. Yeah.
Yeah. So how long have you been in the chamber? Prince William Chamber?
Not very long. Mm-hmm. Not very long.
You just dove right in.
I totally just dove right in. The people are fantastic. It's such a great way to be in the community, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And that's really at the heart of it when you're doing businesses, right? You're doing it for financial income, but how can you support your own, people in the community? And I think that's really important. So that's the whole reason, and I just kind of dove in. And again, like I told you, they have a military veterans kind of council, which I haven't been to yet. It just hasn't worked out. But
yeah, Eugene's been trying to get me to go to a bunch of stuff. But that's great. He's trying to get me plugged in, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
He seems like a great guy.
Yeah, I think it's just like any other business. You're going to work, like however much you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. We'd love to see you at our lead share.
Well, talk to Dan. I sent him an email trying to join, so I just haven't heard anything back.
Okay, well,
You hear that, Dan?
I'm going to DM you now, Dan.
Yeah, right? I mean, that would be great. So are there current travel trends that people are doing?
Yes. Okay. So that's so cool. Yeah, it's like fashion. It's so weird. It's so like fashion. Any other day, I would have told you not Italy. So like one of my first newsletters that went out at the beginning of this year was anywhere but Italy because the Jubilee. So it's a year-long like Catholic celebration. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm not Catholic, so forgive me, people. So there was other ideas of where you could go that were similar in kind of aesthetics, temperature.
Like Croatia, maybe?
Yeah, like Croatia. I mean, honestly, you could still go to Tuscany. It's really mostly all of that's happening in Rome.
Right.
Yeah. And I've got an amazing Tuscany resort if anybody's looking for it. I'm really dying to send some people there.
Yeah.
But so diverting from Italy, Greece again is very popular. Portugal has gotten extremely popular. We thought last year Ireland and Scotland was going to take a little bit of a pull. I think it's on its way a little bit to rise in trend. But I will tell you that a lot of people, and my cousin's an avid cruiser, the more traveled seasoned people are looking for expeditions.
Oh yeah,
like the big
like
expedition.
Antarctica or something.
Yeah, Antarctica. Yeah. The smaller cruise ships are playing. I've even say that river cruising is probably on a little bit of a rise for at least people in our age, which seems a little like, oh my God, that'd be so slow and boring.
You get to see every cool town along the river, though.
That is the whole thing. One of my favorite suppliers is Alma Waterways. A lot of people haven't heard of them because they only hear about Avalon and Viking. But one of Alma Waterways' slogans is cruise lines get you to the ocean to see the ocean, and river cruises get you to see the countries inside. So, you're absolutely right. Like, and actually, that's what happened with one of my clients that I was speaking about earlier. She's like, I just want to go to Europe and take my kids and go to Europe. She didn't really care what city. She was gunning for Spain. So I was like, okay. I was like, well, here's kind of similar to what you found at Costco.
Right.
Same price point, no big deal. Different things, different ports. I said, but if you don't care about what countries, here's this river cruise. What do you think about this? She picked it up, and she actually.
Where did it go through?
She's going on the Danube. She's doing the romantic Danube, which I've been to Budapest and I've been to Vienna. That was one of my first fams. Was there at the Christmas markets. Which,
yeah, people talk about that.
Oh, you guys should. You would love it if you could get away at Christmas time, or even between Thanksgiving and Christmas during that block of time. It gets you in such a great spirit. It's amazing. Awesome. So she's actually going to many of the cities that I saw in Budapest with her family because her father, who's 83. That's where he wanted to go. Unfortunately, her husband lost out. He wanted to go. I forget what part of Europe he wanted to go, but 10 people, and they qualified for a group. And so they qualified for the group on Alma Waterways. They got a group discount. They got their gratuities and taxes paid.
Oh, nice.
And then on top of that, we just finalized their payment, and I was able to give them $4,300 off their entire cruise.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How? Just because you're working with your DMCs?
Well, I'm working with my suppliers, and I had credits. I could either use them for myself, or I could give that to them, and I chose to give that to them.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm already going to get a commission. They've already paid. And I think...
But 10 people is expensive to go on a trip overseas,
She gave me a budget of $26,000 and it ended up being $50,000.
Oh.
So here's the other thing, too. When you're going through it and you don't know your budget, and she did know her budget.
Right.
But when you get to see the value and what you can get into it, and you're like, I'm going to help you see, do you get the inside cabin?
Right.
Do you get the 5-star hotel, or do you pay for the private tour? That's where that customization comes to balancing your investment to travel.
And when are you going to get 10 people to go on a trip again if it's a family thing, to Europe? Maybe never. Maybe never again. So pay a little extra to have the once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Yep.
I haven't really thought about a river cruise, but I'm not opposed to it. It sounds like pretty sweet.
I think it sounds amazing. And I will tell you that, Almaways in particular, well, again, I don't mean to preach about it, but one of the things that's great about them is they keep their tours. Your tours are included. So it's all inclusive on a route.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So Alma Waterways is all inclusive. So their tours, you can either go see the city on your own, you can do their biking tour or their hiking tour, and it's kept to like 14 people.
Oh, wow.
So it's very small. Well, the boat's already kind of small anyways, but that's really nice to know that you're not getting 30 people on your food tour, right?
Right. You're actually having some sort of intimate, cultural moment a bit. So we went to Iceland. That was we went there maybe 5-6 years ago, and that was unexpectedly awesome. So I'd like to be able to go one tropical thing and then one more cultural thing per year.
That sounds amazing.
But I don't know where the next place is. I don't
so you're going to Cancun.
We're going to Cancun, but that's just just not to work for a few days for once, and actually enjoy the weather. And we're going with a couple friend of ours. So, and we've been there a lot. So it's really just kind of it's
relocating.
Just, Yeah, exactly.
Japan.
I mean, I'm not opposed to Japan.
Japan's hot. Japan's hot right now just because of the economy.
Yeah.
What other one that was telling? Lots of people are trying to do the exotics, Fiji's, Maldives. Me being in Bali, that was amazing. I would, if Greg, my husband, would go back to Bali, I've always said I wanted to take him. But I'm actually going to the Philippines at the end of this year.
For the first time?
For the first time.
Oh, excited. What are you going to do?
I don't know. I haven't planned it yet.
Okay. You just know you're going.
I got tickets. I was gifted tickets. And yes, I
gifted tickets.
I was gifted tickets
by
a lovely, lovely woman.
Who's this lady?
I want to shout out to Rachel, of Rachel Floors. Thank you very much.
That's amazing. Oh, Rachel. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And what she does for women in general.
So is it like kind of explore your roots, sort of your own?
I explore my roots.
Eat, pray, love sort of thing?
Yeah, let not tell my husband that it's eat, pray, love situation. Yes.
Eat, pray? Is it eat, pray situation?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Okay, that's very cool.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about that. But yeah, I think...
what do you want to do there?
I want to go back to where I was born.
Okay, cool.
And then...
That's amazing.
And then the reason I picked the latter part of the year is there's lots of festivals. There's like almost a festival every month. It's just
my kind of people.
It's totally I think this is why I do food, because there's always a party.
Oh yeah.
But there's a giant lantern lighting in Cebu City, and I think there's some other parts of because of all the islands that they have.
Yeah.
So I was looking, and so I had a supplier that has a DMC in the Philippines. So one of them I found in Shangri-La. The brand is Shangri-La. That's in Cebu. And then the ones in Manila are a little bit metro, like they're more modern because it's Manila. So I was born outside of Manila, but I learned that actually Olongapo is like 3 hours from Manila. So I'm going to have to figure that out.
I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Travel advisors are their worst planners. They're for themselves.
For themselves.
We're the worst planners for ourselves. So.
Well, there's so many options too, and you know all the options.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then deciding. So you're gonna go by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know if your biological parents are still around?
Can I say that the psychics tell me that she is?
Okay. Is that part of your mission, maybe, or just cross your fingers and see what happens?
It's more cross your fingers, hope that it'll happen. But I've always said this since wanting to go. So when my parents were alive, I didn't have any because I feel like I was given a fantastic life, right? And I lived a great middle class life, and had a lot of opportunities that many hadn't had, and that's what my birth mother wanted, obviously.
Right.
So it's 100%. And what I've always said is, when I get to that land, someone's going to know who I belong to. I know.
It's prophetic.
I know, right? I just have that feeling.
Okay.
And the psychics say it's true in different ways.
So speaking of psychics, what's like your religious... So I grew up super Christian and kind of deconstructed that over the past 10 years, still kind of believe in some stuff. But where do you land? No judgment, no matter what. I don't care.
I would definitely say, so I believe in God. I would definitely say I'm more in the spiritual path. My work that I did when I had my wellness coach really cracked me open to spirituality at a connection place of where everything is been a part of the Creator. Okay. And so I don't know scripture. And so, but I think if we speak certain things like Rumi was, I don't know what Rumi was, but Rumi was this prophetic person, and he would make these sayings or, say them things, and they weren't Christian. So I'm just like, okay, there's wisdom in spirit in everything, right? There just is. And I would actually go back to Bali. So they say it's the land of 1,000 gods, or their God has 1,000 faces. But only one God. And people are like, that doesn't make any sense. And they have temples for different things that they worship, and their housing is like a compound. So I think I feel like one of the things that I really identified was that spirituality, right? That spirituality of, my friend jokes, they prayed over the hanger that brought their clothes in, right? There's so much gratitude in the littlest of things, that I feel like that is really where I lie in as far as spirituality. And, we go through things and challenges, death, like passing my mom. That was probably one of the hardest things. Passing with my father-in-law and father, all these people. And I have always said that death has always taught me about how to live. And there's never been any strict scripture that's taught me that, or any religion, or any like structured religion that's been that impactful. Now, I will say, after my mom passed, I was called to get, she actually told me on her deathbed, she's like, one thing I regret. And I'm like, oh gosh, what is she going to say? Just the one thing I regret is taking you out of Sunday school when you wanted to watch cartoons. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't leave a lasting thing on your deathbed.
Yeah.
So I actually ended up getting baptized right after she passed.
Just like in honor?
Just in honor. Yeah. And it was a church that we'd always gone to. It's the church where I got married. It's a church where we had her memorial service. And it's where I found solitude during that time period, during the divorce. The divorce and her death were right on top of each other, 6 months. And I went to a Bible study with, everyone was older than me.
What kind of church was it?
It was Methodist.
Okay.
So I grew up Methodist.
They're cool.
We're so laid back.
Yeah. So you were saying spirituality, you got baptized in a Methodist church. You still go to that Methodist church?
No, it's in Burke, so it's a little bit ways away. I mean, there's a United Methodist Church right up here in Gainesville that I could go, but I guess, so sounds so bad. There's so many other things I could be doing on a Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Please don't strike me from above. But it's, for me, one of the things, so ritual is important. So I'll talk about like how I bring spirituality into my day to day, like every day, is I journal every day. Okay. So one of the things that I learned at a conference on the Aspire Tour was to bookend your day. And I already kind of knew that. But one of the speakers spoke about when you wake up, write about how you feel. Like, how did you feel when you woke up? And then figure out what's going on. Like, what's in your subconscious? So I got into that habit, and this was back in December. And I've been doing this for 4 months now, right? Since last December. So what I do is I will write, I woke up feeling this. If I've dreamed and I can remember my dreams, I'll write down my dreams. I'll chastise myself. I'll talk about what I want to do, what happened, what's transpired, like all the things, right? It's like some people
before brushing your teeth?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, after brushing my teeth. So no, I wake up, feed the cats, grab a cup of coffee and sit down and do that.
Okay, Gotta have the coffee.
And I gotta feed the cats or they're gonna be like jumping on my face and just doing all bad things.
So how many minutes?
Oh, I never really
20?
time.
Oh, you just kind of till you're done?
No, yeah, I just really do. I mean, I get lost in thoughts, and if I'm getting too lost in thoughts and not putting them on thought, I'm like, oh, okay, you're done.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I do is I pull my tarot cards.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I joke, I joking with you. My religion is there was a question we had. It was my religion is Wiccan. Yeah. Just kidding. It's not.
Yeah.
But again, it comes from part of the things that I was doing in my wellness journey. And so I'll pull my daily cards and I listen to Chani. She's an astrologer. Okay. And so interesting that you say that about spirituality. So I listen to Chani once a week. She has a daily, a weekly part that's open and generic, talking about the suns and the moon and the stars. And then if you subscribe to her app, she goes deeper into your reading. Now, here's a little fun fact about Jen that I didn't get to share. I'm actually a trained astrologer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. I can't call it certified because there is a school. It's called Kepler School, and I've done a few classes there. But I learned from Deborah Silverman, who is the astrologer for Sting.
Oh, cool.
My one claim to fame that I know Deb. So I will pull my tarot cards for the day.
Is that how you say it? Tarot, not tarot?
Whatever. Tomato.
Okay. I've been saying it wrong forever.
No, you're not. It's tomato, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't look at you when you say tomato.
Yeah, true. Tomato. Come on, Ma.
Unless you're from Boston.
Yeah, right.
So I'll pull that and I'll read them, and they're usually just reflections of what to be looking for the day, and I move on. And there you go. And every Sunday at 3:30 is when Chani brings out her stuff, and I'll kind of chart what the week looks like. So that all being said, to me, the creator made those planets. That energy is real. Energy is real to me. I know it's real. I've felt it. I went to Mount Shasta and saw the sticks go all weird and crazy.
Right.
I felt like I was levitating off the mountain. It's a very weird place if you've never been.
Where's Shasta?
California. right? Northern part of California.
We drove. I did a tour for like 6 weeks back in the day with my bands and stuff, and I'm pretty sure we passed that, and then Mount Rainier.
Yes, you did. It's like one-way sign. It's a trippy place.
Yeah.
And I'm such a grounded individual that going to that place, I was like, this is beyond hippy dippy. Like, this is alien level, right? So, which is fine. I did a flower essence training there. Again, part of my health coach journey.
Right.
But yeah, so I really believe that the creator created those planets, that energy is real. So it's not necessarily factual, but how is it going to affect you? And Sigmund Freud used astrology to chart personalities. So, the psychology of it is really fascinating. And I guess I'd tell a little truth that if I could read your chart before you sat down with me to do your travel planning, I probably could figure out like your personality in that regards as to where you're going. Again,
but some people find it, especially like in such a Christian culture, they find it.
Oh yeah,
Antichrist. Yeah, but it's not. I mean, it's just a different thing, and I don't really know much about astrology, but I definitely look up when Leos are going to be doing something good.
Are you a Leo?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is probably why we get along. I'm a rising Leo.
Okay, nice.
So I'm an Aquarius sun sign. It's totally weird and eclectic, and I'm a rising Leo.
I don't know what my other one is.
Maybe we should figure out what that is.
I'm August 15th, if that means anything.
My husband is August 14th.
Oh,
shut the front
look
door.
at that! No wonder we get along.
Yes, no wonder.
For spirituality, like I said, I grew up super Christian, but I don't really believe that's. I don't know. Like I don't have it figured out. I just don't. It didn't all add up for me, or it's too strict a lot of times.
I think it's really strict, and so here's an example of what my husband and I had a challenge with, and there's nothing wrong with this, but people, it's an individualization thing, right? That's the one thing that I have is it's an individualization thing, and no one should be judged on what they choose to do, or how they choose to pray, or whom they pray to. But for example, my mother-in-law, who just recently passed, she was always giving to the church. And yet when we would be over there, one of her demons was that she felt like Satan was coming in and that she was losing faith. And, but there was scripture everywhere. She had daily affirmations. I mean, she was praying every day. And I would have this conversation with her and I was like, well, if God is love, Mom, and you trust in God, where's your faith in that you'll be okay?
Yeah, you should not be so anxious.
Exactly. Yeah. And fearful. And so what can, Greg and I would say, well, she's just trying to buy her way into heaven, which I don't believe that. I'm 100% sure Mom went to heaven. Doesn't doubt that this wonderful woman went to heaven, but it just seems so weird to me, right? To see that. And it's, again, my mom saying what she did, we didn't really grow up that way. And I sought it when she passed because I think there's a point in our lives, and I know it's something that I looked at approaching being 50 next year, is our own mortality, right? And so that's when I feel that a lot of people start to wrestle with that. And I don't feel like I wrestled with it because my mom passed, and so I had something in me just had to like go through the feelings and the efforts, and I sought it through the Bible study, but I never needed to feel like I had to go to regular church, and it's not only is it strict, but it's confining to me. And if you don't think the way that your community thinks, then that's a challenge.
Right. And that's ultimately the reason I used to sing at church for years and, be in the bands and everything. But I don't agree with everything that's in the Bible. And I can't pretend that I just got to a point where it's like, I can't pretend anymore.
It's just not in alignment.
I still love you guys, you're great people. But I don't have a problem with gay marriage. Doesn't bother me. Yeah. And having more friends that are in that community, not a ton, but enough that are like, they're not going to hell.
Yeah.
They're nicer than all you are. Most of you are, So like, that was just like a big turning point for me. Not just that, but other issues with like how the Bible was written and who it was written by. Now, I still think there's like a lot of wisdom in it.
Yes, I agree.
But it's men writing their experience wrestling with God.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I could do the same thing.
That would be a fun. Now this goes.
I'm not saying I write the Bible, but
no, but we could actually. It'd be like what, another like a handbook.
Yeah,
like the handbook for the recently deceased.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, so like I think God is blessing me though too for whatever version, whatever it is. I feel like I've been blessed and I've been called to do certain things, but it's just not. God's not in a box.
No.
Absolutely
Absolutely not.
He's not. So.
Well, and it's funny that you say that is like my dad, before he passed, and he was getting scared too. It's again to their mortality. He's like, I don't know if I'm praying right. And I'm like, Dad, there's no right or wrong way.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies all time, Steel Magnolias, the epic girl movie ever, back in the 80s. Dolly Parton was picking up Daryl Hannah. And and Dolly tells Daryl that they're going to her church, and Daryl's like, "Oh, Daryl Hannah's like, I don't know if that's a good thing. I'm not really sure God would." And Dolly's like, "God don't care where you pray, just as long as you do."
Yeah,
and that's the way I feel.
Yeah,
and that's
totally.
Kind of the thing is like, you're gonna pray your way. You're gonna take your time out. I think if you have gratitude and believe in a higher power. Mm. Yay.
Yeah, I think the vein is gratitude. I just had JJ from JJ Multimedia Productions on last week. And, his relationship with God is his gratitude, essentially. That's how he, keeps a relationship with God. And that's like the kind of defining thing for all spirituality really is the gratitude part of it. Yeah. And then, however God plays itself out in your life is going to be different. Because we're all different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, to get on a lighter tip,
next chapter.
Like, where do you see what's like the next steps for you? Where do you see this going? Like, growing a team or where?
Yeah, this is really great. Shout out to Taylor Devine. I just met with him. He's in our lead in my lead share of CDI group. So he does this thing about valuations, like what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? Like, what's the valuation? It's a valuation on the company. And long and short of it, there's like 8 key parameters about growth and whatnot. And so it was a simple questionnaire that I filled out. And we had a wonderful conversation this morning. And he's the first person that allowed me to put on paper and actually breathe life into it, because I spoke it out loud. What did I want to do? We got to know each other and whatnot. And so one of the things is this is going to be an S Corp. So Savor Fare Travel Company will be an S Corp.
Yep.
One of the things that with the rebrand that I'm working on the website on is more for group trips, group and exclusive travel. It doesn't mean I want to do away with my FITs or the special custom trips. However, I feel like with the economy and the shifts and changes, what are ways that people can still travel and do things, and communities becoming a very big thing. I think that we're still trying as a humanity, as a nation, trying to connect with people. So those opening up that group aspect. So there's going to be a little bit of a change in dynamic of the focus of what I'm doing, but still doing custom itineraries. Eventually, I do want to just step into that CEO role where I have. Yeah. I don't want to get it too big because there's a lot of companies that, I could grow into an outside agent and do that if I wanted to do that. Right. And that's not the level I wanted to do. I think I have written like 5 to 6 W-2s or 1099s, whatever that looks like. Yeah. And a very flat organization, some marketing support and all that. And then because the industry actually has a very clear kind of high season, low season. So we call a wave season. Our wave season's is January to June, because that's when we're doing all the planning. That's all when the great deals are coming out. So then June on, everyone's traveling, right? So twiddle my thumbs, you can be getting prepped for the following year. Right. But so I'm getting a little feet wet on real estate investing. Okay. Just it came on because, again, mother-in-law passed. We've got this house sitting over there. There's ways to do tax-free investments and whatnot. So like, I think would be a side hobby to be more than anything, but allowing that. And so eventually these two companies, one's a corporation, one's an S Corp, you know, funding those, growing those, getting repeat clients, doing the big trips. Like I said, you know, hopefully rinse and repeat with, you know, bigger groups, groups that not necessarily weddings. I don't do weddings.
Yeah.
We don't do weddings. I'll do social groups like golf trips, buddies trips, you know, those kind of things. Whiskey and golf, whatever.
Yep. I'm in a whiskey club.
I know. I'm playing. I'm like, hey, whiskey group. We can go out to Scotland. We can figure this out. I can make it happen for you guys.
All right.
I'll do a pitch deck for you. Don't worry.
Okay.
So let that grow. Eventually, I actually said this out loud. I've always wanted to do a philanthropy and make an impact for someone, right? And when my mom passed, I always thought it would be like for cancer or colon cancer, but you know, those are big organizations. And in recent, to go back to the culinary vein, is the restaurants and hospitality got hit bad.
Oh yeah,
with COVID. And I watch Sunday morning. It's one of our favorite things to do. We watch Jane Pauley. Such an old person. Yeah. And they have like the dish and different things on there, and it's that industry, it's the restaurant industry that people have a dream, right? They have a dream to do something, or they've watched The Bear and they want to do that.
Yeah. Great show.
Yeah. Amazing show. And that's kind of like something in that vein where I'm either, you know.
So would it be like a scholarship for?
Maybe a scholarship or retooling. Another thing too, you know, I do a lot of work with like veterans in that regards, but yes, it's more in that restaurant hospitality development. And I just think that would be really cool to do. But you know, in order to do that, it's like,
yeah, you gotta have the capital.
You got the capital over there. And I don't want to do that. Like, I want to be like that bored woman doing the philanthropy than like when I'm 70.
Right.
Like, and I'm not even 50 yet. So another year.
So 20-year plan.
20-year plan.
Hey, that's no problem with it.
Yeah.
It's you can do it.
Yeah.
You know, I had a goal by 50, have a baby grand and be able to play Billy Joel, Piano Man, and then is that Billy Joel?
No, that's Elton John.
Elton John. No, not Piano Man. What's the song I'm thinking of? I don't even remember the song. But I had this like when I was 18, I think, at a friend's house out in front Warrenton area. They had a huge house. He had a grand piano in the front. He was just like killing it on piano, and he's like, great family and everything. So I was like, all right, that's something to shoot for. That's not too different. I mean, the house is a pretty nice house, but.
You could take it half.
But I just want to be able to play the piano that well, and then hopefully be able to, have a slightly larger house just so we could fit a baby grand in it.
I was gonna say have a dinner party so you could fit the baby grand in that, because you're gonna have to perform.
I'd have to, right.
Like, that's like, if you're gonna be doing that, it shouldn't be done in secrecy. You gotta share that.
No, exactly. So I started playing piano, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, and just because I gotta get to that target.
Yeah.
You know, I don't play as much as I used to, but just trying to build a business is difficult to do fun stuff, because I can also just, get invoices paid, or I can play piano for.
Don't they say you just need to do 10 minutes of practice?
I know.
It could be a morning thing, like it could be part of your bookend day.
Oh yeah, actually,
right?
Yeah,
right. So
that's what I used to do. My old job, I started working from home here, and I really only had like 4 hours of work to do per day. So
once I was I wanted.
Well, yeah, once I was done with the work, they fired me. Well, they had to let me go when COVID happened. I didn't get fired, but they were just like, continually downsizing over the past. I was there for like 12 years, so I just kept making the cut somehow because I would take the other people's jobs. So they would just put it on my shoulders, and they knew that I would, So, but the perk was getting to work from home. So then I would have like 4 hours to 5 hours to produce music or write or play or do whatever I wanted. So I haven't written anything in a while, but I'll get back to it.
Yeah, again.
I have like 7 or 8 songs that are like fully recorded. I just haven't put them out.
So did you teach yourself music, or okay? So that was just something you did within the church, or you didn't do it in school?
Yeah, let me make sure this is recording. But yeah. Yeah, so I I went to England for a missions trip, Wales, really. We're only in UK for like a minute. Just flew into Heathrow,
And then went over.
Yeah. So, but like one of the times they were like having this prayer meeting or whatever, and like I had already been singing at the church at the time, and then this pastor came and like prayed for me and stuff, and like I had like a super vision of like, you need to start learning to play guitar.
Wow.
And then I came home and met one of my bandmates. Like I didn't know him before that. He was just in the church that I was at, and he gave me a guitar like a month later, and he started teaching me and helping me like, figure stuff out. 'Cause there's no YouTube.
Right.
Back then.
No.
That's why I really liked singing and stuff, but I had no idea, like, I'm not going to pay for music lessons. I was 18, so I was like, I didn't have any money to do that. My parents didn't have a lot of money. So it really was, him helping me and just like guiding me along the way. And then I kind of, started figuring stuff out too. But, so that started when I was 18. And that's the only reason I think I have a business now.
Why? Why is that?
Because it gave me the confidence that I could like do something.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause that's very nerve wracking. So this is funny this is what Leos like to do. We like to be on show. Like, we just do. So growing up, I was in Kitty Country was the daycare because mom and dad both worked, and I was selected to be on a record.
Oh, cool.
And so we did all these childhood songs or whatever. And so I'm actually on a record. I don't even remember the name of the record. So what Kitty Country always would do is that they would have a summer program that would put on a like little singing concert thing. And they'd have a big end of school season, which was held at Lake Braddock at the little theater, which is where I actually went to high school. And we would, it would all be choreographed and all this stuff. So I absolutely love showmanship. And I actually think that that's the whole reason that when I got older and left.
I could see you liking showmanship.
I know, right? I miss my calling. Maybe I'll be a speaker on stage.
Yeah, I can see that.
I would like to do that. I would love to be able to do that. So when I got older, I ended up getting into marching band. And so I didn't play an instrument, and I'll tell you what instrument I ended up playing and why. So I was in the flag corps. So I would do marching band, and that was amazing. That was like, it was performance, right? And I thrived on that. And it was a little scary to be on this little girl on this big 100-yard field, and then try getting to Virginia Tech and then performing. That's a whole different ball game.
Oh, yeah.
Which was just exhilarating. And my dad, asked me what I wanted to study in college before I picked. And I was like, marching band. He's like, that's not going to get you a job. I was like, I bet it will. And sure as shit. So all these years, right, go from high school, go to college, 5 years of college doing marching band. I graduate, leave, and like for a year or two, come back because at the time my fiance was down here. I got a normal job. I got a real HR job, but then I was also paid to be the coach of the flag corps. Got to travel with them. Got paid by the school. I was like,
for Tech.
Yeah, for Virginia Tech.
Nice,
and I got my name announced as a leader of the. And my name was announced when I was captain too. But yeah, so I loved band so much in high school that I didn't want to pick any other electives because that was what was fun. Mm-hmm. So I ended up picking up band. Couldn't play it. I can't play. I can read notes. I cannot read music.
Okay.
I can read notes.
Yeah.
I can't sight read.
Yeah, I can't either.
I cannot read worth a lick. And I ended up being a percussionist.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So all I needed to do was the beats.
Yeah.
I could do rhythmic. I could read the rhythm. I couldn't read the notes.
My one of my best friends that we're going to Cancun with, he was in drum corps.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's a
Was he a snare? I bet he was a snare drum. Yeah.
He still got it. Once we got him into the band, 'cause it was just like three of us in the beginning. Like once we got him, he came and tried out, and we were like, okay, we're gonna be so much better now. And we were, he's a great showman and stuff too. So that just kind of like really made us like an actual band instead of like some ruffians trying to do something.
Well, yeah, and there's a special attitude that comes with Drumline. Have you seen the movie Drumline?
Oh yeah,
that's the best.
Nick Cannon with 12 kids.
Before 12 kids.
Before 12 kids. I don't think he had any at that point.
No.
So I just want to make sure it's still recording. I don't want to have a conversation. It is. That just went off. So we'll just wrap up. I don't know if you have anything else. So where can people find you And how can they get in touch if they want to book something? And like, what does that process even look like?
So really simple. I'm all on the socials. So I'm on Instagram, which is Savor Fare Travel Co. Mm-hmm. You'll see my face. Yep. I'm on Facebook. It's Facebook.
Right. You can find me travel is such a visual thing.
It is.
Facebook.
It is. And so if you go to the Instagram, you're going to get all my links because in the link in bio that it says click me, it's got like my opt-in, it's got like group things, it's got my opt-in and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. My email, jen@savorfaretravelco.com. Okay. Yep. You can email me right away. It's the easiest way. So
do you just do like a quick discovery call to see what they're looking, and then you book the longer 1 hour call?
Yep, I do that. Depending if they want, like if they're just like wanting the all inclusive, I'm like, no, I got it after that like discovery call. Yeah. I call it their curation call. It's their curation call. So we do about a 45-minute curation call. Usually I don't need another one after that. Mm-hmm. In whatever package, we're going to go over the steps. I actually send out video walkthroughs with proposals. Okay. So instead of just reading it and going, okay, that's great.
Yeah, that's what I do too. No, for real. For my website proposals and stuff, I video it so I can walk through it with them, and then we can have like a follow-up discussion.
It's so much better. Yeah. It's so amazing. And not a lot of travel advisors are doing that. It's kind of recommended because they're like, I don't want my face shown, whatever. I don't care. Put your logo up.
Yeah, right.
So really it's that. And of course, I'm trying to build my accountability presence on LinkedIn. Okay. And it's Jenn Bradshaw Almond. Okay. On LinkedIn is that. So I'm trying. It's not going very well, y'all. So
what's the accountability part of it?
Just to actually like do it.
Oh, okay.
And, like just get accountable and some credibility out there. And I
don't use LinkedIn at all, but I should now as like a business owner. I just didn't like it for when I was working a W-2 job.
No. And if you weren't looking for a job, why would you do that?
Right.
I've had courses, to kind of use them as lead generation. Mm-hmm. But, if you do it manually, then that's taking time. Right. But then if you build a whole system on it, then you're just putting expenses into it. So it's like
Right.
I'm almost at the point, to be 100% honest with you, to be kind of over social media. Forgive me, and be over social media and just go for like marketing. Okay. And just be like marketing, PR, podcasts. Right. Go that way, YouTube.
Or just become the CEO and have a VA do all the stuff for you. Yeah. Which you can do.
Yeah, I know. But, so reach out to me. Let's book some travel, some multifamily groups, incentive trips.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Mike. Bye. Take care.